Vancouver's Olympic Village is now home to roughly 1,100 residential units. There are social housing and mid-market level rentals on site. Plus, the retail landscape continues to expand. Not bad for a community and a project that got off to a pretty rough start.
Well, there's two different stories about the Olympic Village. One is the finances, which had to do with the global downturn and business deals and such, which as a chief planner I had nothing to do with, and frankly I think were highly politicized for political reasons at that time.
Brent Todderan was Vancouver's chief planner from 2006 to 2012. He had to make some key decisions during a time when the original developer went bankrupt. The city took over the debt of nearly $700 million to keep the project going, with the Olympics just around the corner. Todderan is now an urban consultant and says the village has another story which is much more interesting.
So this was a grand experiment with a really high level of aspiration that had existed for a few decades at City Hall, but it really was the Olympics that gave it the fire to make it almost virtually leap out of the ground, because that's how fast we had to build it to be ready for the games.
And it was ready in 2010. The Athletes Village housed more than 2,000 athletes, coaches, and officials during weeks of competition. But when the Olympics and Paralympics wrapped up, the transformation was slow. Condos were expensive, the economy wasn't strong, and many felt the Olympic Village was being used as a political football.
Every successive council's used it in a way that's been political, and it's hurt the city financially, but as was always planned, and if you look out here, it's beautiful. The Yale Towns and the whole Concord Pacific lands are very, very successful. There was no reason to assume and to think that this neighborhood would be a failure.
In 2014, the city paid down its debt, relieving taxpayers by unloading the last 67 condo units to the Aquilini Group for $91 million. Some felt it was too much of a bargain. But years later, there is less talk about money and politics. The Olympic Village has cemented itself as a young and thriving community that continues to grow.
I moved here about 2 years ago, and I love it. Everything's close by, the water. Yeah, no complaints.
I love my neighborhood. I don't plan on leaving. I mean, maybe if I can't afford to live here, but...
Nothing in this project was easy. All of it was deliberate, and I think as it's matured almost exactly, and in some ways better, than we had anticipated.
In Vancouver, Greg Harper, City News.